Hello, 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 everyone. Come on in the room, get settled, get comfortable. We are here for an Astro. Okay, it's not my bra. I thought I was going to dig in my city on camera. Um, we're here for an Astro Hour reading tonight. So come on in the room, get settled, get comfortable. If you are returning, then you know the drill. Say hi and go ahead and put those scale emojis in the comments so I can say hi. Back to you. If you are new here, hello, I'm Mambo Soleil. I am the cover mother of Vision of Dawn Tour. I am the founder and the facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program, and I'm a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. I'm also your weekly reader, and hold on, let me pause this so I can actually hear myself. Welcome to Astro Hour. This is a bi-weekly reading that I do, quickly becoming a weekly reading, but typically a bi-weekly reading that I do just to give insight into the astrology of the week ahead. And tonight we're going to be talking both about the full moon in Taurus as well as Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius at the end of next week. So come on in the room, get settled, get comfortable. Hello, Oma Moare. Hello, Shwazy. Thank you for joining me tonight. We'll go ahead and get started in just a moment. Hey, Adelaida, good to see you. Thank you, thank you. Come on in the room, say hi. Good to see you all. Child, the ghetto, yes, it is. Has the energy been heavy this week for anybody else? It's been a heavy week. It's been an overwhelming week. It's been a lot. I'm going to be really honest. I almost did not get on camera today. Stress has been eating me up. And between exhaustion and just some other things, almost didn't come on here tonight. But y'all know how I am. I am an earth sign. And consistency is really important to me. So my black behind is going to get at least 2 live streams in a week. That's just something that I'm really, really dedicated to doing. Sometimes more, but at least 2. So I wanted to make sure I got in here tonight for Astro Hour. There will also be a happy hour reading tomorrow night. And I know some of y'all may not be here because it's going to be Halloween and some of y'all want to be out in the world being fast and shit. But for those of you who are choosing to stay in on Halloween, make sure you come by tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I think we're going to have a really interesting conversation. And I'll talk about what we'll be talking about tomorrow in a little bit. Hello, Sanidra. Yeah, it has been beyond overwhelming for me as well. It's been quite the week. But as I was researching and preparing about the full moon in Taurus, my hope is that it brings some ease into our lives. Y'all know that's what Tauruses do. And I'm not just saying that because I am a Taurus, but Tauruses, they bring the calm. We really do. When we go off and it's bad. But for the most part, we are known for bringing the calm. So actually, that's what I'm going to start with. Let's start with our discussion about the full moon in Taurus. And then we'll go into the discussion about Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. As I always do, I have specialty readings based on both placements. So after I'm done giving the description, if anybody wants to get a reading, you should know the drill by now. Just send your love offering either to my Cash App or my PayPal. Both are scrolling below. But we got a lot to talk about before we get to that point. So, hey, Josie, good to see you. So let's first talk about this full moon in Taurus. It's going to be this coming Wednesday, November 5th. So it's coming up pretty quick. We got about 6 days. And this lunation is understood as a supermoon. And some of you guys know that supermoons mean that the energy is going to be felt a lot stronger than typical because supermoons are when the moon is really, really close in proximity to the earth. So this is going to be a really, really strong moon. Taurus being the polarity of Scorpio, and we are in Scorpio season, right? And if any of you guys taken my astrology classes, you know what a polarity is, right? Taurus being the polarity or the opposite of the Scorpio, the sun is in Scorpio right now. There's a lot happening in terms of a balancing act. There's a balance between the earthy, stable, very value-oriented energy of Taurus and the transformative, hidden depth energy of Scorpio, okay? So this moon is going to bring a lot of grounding, a lot of sensuality, sensuality of the body, sensuality of our environment. This is going to be a time where we are really thinking about what matters the most to us physically, right? So how we're treating our home environment, how we're treating our body, whether or not our sexual needs are being met. Taurus is a very sexy sign. And that can be stressful sometimes being a Taurus, because it's like you're just being normal, and it's like, why do you want to fuck me? Like, what's going on? Why are you attracted to me? The people that get attracted to me and who assume I'm attracted to them, it's always fascinating. But that's another conversation. I'm not gonna get off topic. But this is about really being invited to focus on what feels real to you, what feels real, what's tangible, what matters most, right? We're going to be thinking about what we value, what we own, what we want to own, and how to get closer to it. Stability and security, as well as our material comfort and resources, are going to be at the forefront of our minds during this Taurus full moon. So spending a lot of time meditating, journaling, thinking about what is it that you invest in terms of your resources, in terms of your time, in terms of your energy. And are these things that are actually worthy of your investment, right? This is very much a time to take inventory and evaluation of where it is we put our energy and our resources. It's also really time to think about what you need to keep and what you need to let go of, right? Again, Tauruses are very much about the material. They're very much about value. And with this being in a balancing act with Scorpio, which is about hidden depth, this is going to be a time of evaluation and thinking about what we need to release, what we're clinging to that actually isn't valuable, and how we can release it in a way that's peaceful. Because this is a full moon, this is a time of culmination. And so something that we planted, right, that we've sown a seed in a while ago, probably in the last 6 months, we're going to start to see it really come into the light. We're going to start to see those seeds really sprout. So that's going to be one of the beauties of having a full moon in Taurus, okay? It can also really expose what you need to recognize more in order for it to grow. So if there has been a seed that you planted that you've been neglecting, again, as you sit in evaluation around value, what means something to you, you'll realize, hey, there's this thing in my life that I actually care a lot about, but I haven't been prioritizing it. I haven't been focusing it. And so the Taurus full moon is going to bring that to the surface and really get you to focus on it, okay? Again, with this being in the sun of Scorpio, this full moon in Taurus is happening in the sun of Scorpio. This is also going to be a time where you're thinking about hidden motivations, money that's shared with others, power dynamics, right? Scorpios are obsessed with power dynamics. Some of them may lie to you and say that they are not. They absolutely the fuck are, right? And so with this full moon in Taurus, you're really going to be thinking about the power dynamics involved in what you value, right? What lies beneath the surface of your current value structure and what needs to be released, what needs to be dealt with. Safety, as it relates to stability, is also really going to be at the forefront. So evaluating what we have in our lives that makes us feel safe. I'm going to be talking about guns tomorrow and why it's important for us to have them. That's one of the things. It's not the only thing I'm touching base on. But if you are in a space where you don't feel safe and that lack of safety is making you feel unstable, the Taurus full moon is going to highlight that. And it's going to call you to really evaluate why that is, right? Hello, Bertal. Thanks for joining. This is really going to bring a lot of awareness about what the energy of Taurus is teaching you around your values, around how you care for yourself, whether or not your sensuality has been neglected, and if so, what do you need to do in order to prioritize it, right? Think about the cards of Taurus in the tarot. Y'all know I'm always going to bring it back to tarot, right? So the Hierophant, the King of Pentacles. Those are cards that are very much about discipline, routine, stability, what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel stable. So those are all things that are going to come up. Now, why does this matter? In terms of your spiritual walk, whether you are a priestess or a practitioner, whether you are somebody who does spirituality as business or spirituality is just a big part of your life and it is serious business to you. These are all things that we need to be considering. So this is a really, really great time to do money and value work. If you have not been doing prosperity work, if you've not been doing money work, if you've gotten some blessings in these last few months, but you have not stopped and paused to think about how to honor them and how to multiply them, those are all things that this full moon in Taurus is absolute perfect time for. This is a time to revisit what you charge. Again, Taurus is the sign of value. So if you have a business for yourself, thinking about your prices. Am I charging enough? Am I presenting myself based on what I value or what my value is, right? But even if you don't have a business, if you are working for somebody, when was the last time I had a promotion? Am I being paid my worth? Am I being valued in this space? And if not, are there other spaces where I can be valued for what I am? These are all things that we should be prioritizing our money and our full moon rituals around so that we can gain further insight, right? Is what I'm receiving in alignment with my worth? Yes, Anitra, absolutely. And are there any hidden money wounds or false beliefs that are getting in the way from me claiming my value, right? Some of you are long overdue for promotion and you're not going after promotion because there's some false belief about your value, about your worthiness, about your skill set that you need to release. Some of you that have not changed your prices in 3 to 4 years, and there's a fear there. There's a false belief that the people who want to work with you or who value aren't going to pay an additional $10 or $15. That's not true. All that shit will come out in a wash. So this is a time for you to really confront those false beliefs and do work around it. This is also a really important time to evaluate stability versus transformation. So you can be building offerings, you can be building things, making sacrifices that aren't what you really need to be focused on, right? And if we're calling in transformation in areas that are not going to actually bring us stability, we need to pause and think about that so that we can focus on what is going to bring us stability in the long run. Josie, did I already say hi to you? If I didn't say hi to you already, Josie, hello. It's good to see you here. My apologies. Hey, Nicole. Thank you for joining. Again, because Taurus is an earth sign, it's the first earth sign. It is about being rooted in the body. This is also a really good time to do grounding rituals that are going to bring you closer to your physical. Okay, good. I just want to make sure I didn't miss you. Rituals that are going to bring you closer to your physical comfort, things that are going to really root you in the earth. So if you are blessed to be somewhere where it is not crazy, insanely cold, first of all, I'm jealous because it went from being just ridiculously hot in Atlanta to being freezing. And I can't stand it. But if you're somewhere where it's not too cold, getting outside, being in the earth, doing your grounding with rituals, being in that shamanic practice of really touching the earth is going to be really, really important to you. Incorporating tactile, sensual processes into your spiritual work during this full moon. Are you dancing? Are you stretching? What are you doing to honor your physical body? All those are really important things to consider in preparation for this full moon. If you have any shadow work that you've been avoiding around your value, which I didn't even realize this. Again, they're always, and this is how I know that spirit is in alignment with me, and I'm so grateful for it. A lot of the shadow work consultations I've done this week have touched on this, just in terms of synchronicity. It wasn't on purpose. I have no control over what cards I pull, right? But looking at the undercurrent of your shared values, of hidden debts, Unseen values that you have, values that you don't even know, are going to come to the forefront. So really altering any shadow work that you've been prioritizing to really incorporate a reflection or, um, to really incorporate a focus on looking at your emotional attachments, whether it's emotional attachments to other people or emotional attachments that you have to physical things, to money, etc. The last 2 weeks, it's been the 40s, but it felt good to sit outside. Yeah. First of all, the fact that it's in the 40s in Texas is crazy. I don't think I've ever been in Texas where it's been that low. But I imagine after the crazy heat that y'all dealt with in the summer, it probably felt like a relief. This is also a time of completion and recognition, right? So one of the things that earth signs struggle with, and I'm really realizing this is somebody that has both an earth sun and an earth moon, is we/y'all don't know how to celebrate and don't know how to realize when a project has reached its completion, right? One of the great things about being a Taurus or having Taurus placements is that we are really deliberate, right? We're very determined. But sometimes that can spill over into being dogmatic and not knowing when to wrap shit up, right? So for this full moon in Taurus, it's going to be really important to recognize that you have certain projects that have come to completion. Let that shit go, but let it go with joy. Celebrate it, right? Your work around turning something into abundance or releasing grief, you probably have already released the grief, so you don't need to keep focusing on that. Many of you have made progress in terms of some sort of spiritual issue in your life. And it's like you've gotten so used to constantly working on that you don't realize that you don't need to work on it anymore. So recognizing your progress and celebrating that progress and recognizing it, that's going to be really important so that you can lay those things to rest. Okay? So those are some of the things that we should really think about during this full moon in Taurus. Some practical things that you can do. Do light work. So when I say light work, make sure that you're not taking on things that feel too heavy, right? Do your candles, pay attention to your offerings, understanding that the offerings you give to your ancestral altar are a form of work. So rather than feeling like you got to go out, and I always say go out and kill a chicken. I need to stop saying that because I've never killed a chicken for spiritual reasons. But it doesn't have to be dramatic, right? Just making sure that you're giving intentional offerings. It is fall. This is a time of harvest. When was the last time you gave your ancestors corn or popcorn, right? Have you given them any squash or pumpkin? Thinking about that. Making coffee that has clove in it, right? Paying attention to the nature of the offerings and being intentional. That's a form of work, but it's also really light and easy to do. So consider those things. Make sure you take the time to slow down and journal, especially after the full moon is over. Being very deliberate in your routines. Again, remembering in tarot, Taurus is the Hierophant. Hierophant is about spiritual routines and spiritual regimen. So some of us just get wrapped up in doing things on the full moon and being all dramatic and being naked in the woods and shit. And then we don't stop in the days after the full moon to be really present, to be grounded and look at what emerges. So I would really encourage all of us to make sure that we're doing that after the full moon. Also takes time to slow down and be mindful of extremes, right? Taurus energy is really resistant to change. That's just, we change slow. We fight change. It's just a thing that happens. Even when we know in our hearts the change is good, right? That's why we can be openly beefing with somebody and still have a hard time letting them go because we're resistant to change. I'm overdue for a corn offering. Get on top of that, especially before All Saints Day, before Gay Day weekend. Make sure you take care of that, okay? So this is a really important time to look at the areas of your life where you are resisting change and figure out what you can do to get more comfortable with change. And if you find yourself being resistant, is it because the change is unnecessary, or is it because you are uncomfortable and you fear not being supported? Because that's another thing about Tauruses. Tauruses would rather fight, punch through the dark by themselves than be vulnerable to other people who make them feel unsupported. So if that's something that's happening, evaluate that, right? I want to leave you guys with a full moon mantra for Taurus full moon. I fully stand in my value. I root my gifts into the earth, and I release what limits my worth. I stand fully in my value. I root my gifts into the earth, and I release what limits my worth. Okay? So that's Taurus full moon. What would you consider cleaning as an offering? That's a great question. I've never thought about it. Intuitively, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I don't see cleaning as an offering, because cleaning is something you need to do before you present your offerings, right? We know that certain spirits aren't going to show up for you if you don't have a clean space. And for me, I like to clean before I lay my offerings down. Even if it's not a big holiday, if it's just a typical weekend where I'm doing my offerings to my ancestors because I've cooked for them, that's the time that I change out their cloth. That I keep a little cinnamon broom. I think I've said this to you guys sometime before. I keep a little cinnamon broom on my altar, and I sweep it down. I give them their perfumes. I give them their oils. For me, cleaning is something you do to set yourself up for offerings. I would encourage you to do a divination, check in with your spirits, but I personally don't consider it an offering in and of itself. But yeah, that's the Taurus full moon. Let's look into Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. Again, once I'm done talking about Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, I'll take readings from the audience if people want to get a reading. So go ahead and get yourself prepared. Think about which of the two you want. If you want both, that's totally fine as well. Mercury is going to be entering Sagittarius on Sunday, November 9th. Sunday, November 9th. It's going to be in retrograde in Sagittarius until November 29th. So, yes, for most of the month of November, we're going to be dealing with the Mercury retrograde. And the retrograde continues and then shifts, moving back into Scorpio after that, right? So that's something to consider. Some of the key themes that are going to be coming up, because this retrograde begins in Sagittarius and then goes back into Scorpio, there's going to be really a mix of expansion as well as vision, right? Remember that Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. That's why it's called the planet of luck and good fortune, because multiplication is associated with abundance. It's associated with prosperity, right? There's also going to be a lot of depth and introspection because of that Scorpio influence. So this is a time where we're thinking about revision of big picture beliefs. Remember that retrogrades are about reflection. They're about reflection and revision, right? And that's why they can feel overwhelming, because we live in a society where we want to go, 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 go. So when things happen to purposely slow us down, like technological mishaps, right? Like miscommunications. This is something that I've learned recently. When you have miscommunication with a person, it's not a time to go in with a whole lot of force in that Scorpio way where you want to bulldoze a person, right? It's actually a time to pause and think about why the miscommunication is happening. Miscommunications should result in reflection, right? And that's why these things happen during retrogrades, because we're supposed to be pausing. We're supposed to be reflecting. We're supposed to be thinking about what needs to be released or refined, right? So this is a time, again, with this happening in Sagittarius, this is a time of revision around big picture beliefs, philosophies, and communications. Again, Sagittarius, as well as Jupiter, are about philosophy, education, philosophical, right? So with Mercury and Sagittarius, the focus is going to be on how you think, how you teach, how you communicate big ideas. What is your worldview? And does the way that you communicate and engage with other people reflect your worldview, right? I was talking about this last night with the charm school students. We were talking about the book Pussy Prayers. And I cannot tell you how many women, not just women, people I know in my life that call themselves feminists, and their favorite thing to do whenever it's like they can't deal with silence in the room. Their favorite thing to do when bored, when insecure, when feeling uncomfortable, whatever, is to dog other women out. There's a contradiction behind how you show up in the world and what you claim your worldview to be. Mercury in retrograde in Sagittarius is going to highlight and agitate those spaces where there is conflict. So pay attention to those agitations, because that's there to teach you something about yourself, right? How does your spiritual message reflect expansion and refinement? If it doesn't, that's something to think about, right? This is also a time where we backtrack into deeper emotional territory, right? So again, after Mercury is in Sagittarius, it's going to move back into Scorpio. So these themes around deeper hiding places, around shadow work, your ancestral issues, those are going to be highlighted and agitated while Mercury is in Sagittarius, because again, that philosophical slant is going to give you the ability to see them differently, to think about them differently, to allow yourselves to be critical of them in a way that you may be defensive of during other times, right? Contracts, travel, communication, tech, anything in logistics is going to have an energy of undoing, right? Now that sounds dramatic, but let me explain. All the usual Mercury retrograde concerns and warnings apply, right? So there will be delays. There will be miscommunications. This is a time where you're going to be called to revisit errors and mistakes that you may have made in the last 4 to 6 months. So again, rather than being defensive, take the time to do it. This is a time where you rewind your beliefs. This is a time where you look and you reflect and you revisit and you refine. So again, don't sign any contracts. Evaluate your contracts. Look over whether or not they are worthy of you. Again, Taurus full moon, right? Do the contracts reflect something that you can really live up to? Revisit and refine, but don't make commitments, okay? Don't buy any new technology. You're not going to have the focus to understand how to program it. If you're likely to buy new technology, it's going to end up collecting dust after the retrograde is over. So the same warnings apply, right? But in addition to that, this is a time for realignment rather than new launches. Some of you guys know that I launched my first product last week. So I turned my Prosperity Rich Spirit into a body wash, right? So that way people who, because one of the main things that happens, it doesn't matter when I do Rich Spirit, it doesn't matter how much I plan, there's always going to be somebody that's like, damn, Mumbo, I really want to do it, but this time doesn't work for me. So in turning Rich Spirit into a body wash that people can use on their own, that they also get a set of instructions from me with, it gives them access, right? It gives them the opportunity to still get the benefits. But I was really purposeful. I was like, even if it low-key did kind of kill me, it was stressful to get it together in time. I knew I got to get this done in October, because there's going to be a retrograde, a Mercury retrograde in November, and I'm not launching shit, okay? So if you have something that you know you want to get off the ground, if you are in the privileged position of being able to do it before November 9th, go ahead and do it. If not, you're just going to have to wait until after November 29th. Because anything that you launch while Mercury is in retrograde in Sagittarius, not only will it have complications, it's not going to land properly, right? Again, Sagittarius is about philosophy. So the way that you think you are marketing or communicating something to someone else, complete confusion. So again, try to do it before the 9th or after the 29th, okay? This is not a time to launch new things. It is the last major retrograde of this year. And a lot of astrologers have seen this as a time for wrapping things up, for consolidation, not for taking on new tasks, not for launching new things, okay? So just make sure that you are careful around that. So let's talk a little bit about some of the tips that you can benefit from. When it comes to communications and audits. I don't know why I've been struggling with that word lately. Before Mercury goes retrograde, you want to get all of your important communications, contracts, any agreements in order. Email sequences. If you know you're overdue for changing your email signature or automating emails, go ahead and take care of that now. Tidy things up. Spend this next week between now and Sunday. I was about to say Mercury, certain Mercury night. No, Sunday and November 9th. Take this time to really tidy and tighten things up, because anything that's not tidy during the retrograde, if you try to tidy it then, it's just going to bring confusion, okay? Again, avoid launching new major things. This is not a time to make new agreements. This is not a time to do new contracts. Housing, I don't play about housing. So if you just gotta sign a lease, then do it. But try to take on new jobs and things like that after the retrograde is over. This is a time where you really want to refine your communication around your big message. Right? Again, I mentioned earlier, sometimes the way that we believe we are in terms of branding or in terms of our personality, it may be out of conflict with how we show up in the world. So really take this time to make sure that those things are in alignment. And if they're not, make, the little adjustments you need to. This retrograde may highlight things around hidden financial entanglements. So it's really important for you to reevaluate financial agreements, right? Again, I mentioned earlier that Taurus is the polarity of Scorpio. This is a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius happening in Scorpio. Sagittarius is the luckiest sign of the zodiac. The only other sign that has a tendency to fail upwards the way that they do is Leo, right? But along with that, with Scorpio being about shared resources and inheritances, you may have some financial entanglements that are fucking you up. And this retrograde is going to highlight that for you. So reevaluate your financial agreements, reevaluate shared money, debts, things that you're committed to within groups or collectives or in partnerships. Really reevaluate that at this time. Okay? Let me know if you guys want me to do a money wound review during the retrograde, because I have been saying for a while, that's how I got my start as a priestess, doing financial trauma recovery. And it's been a couple of years since I've given an offering. And this may be, a really delicious time to revisit that, given everything happening with the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio season. So let me know if that's something that you all want. If you have to travel for any reason, especially related to work, make sure you have your protections in order. Make sure you have your logistics in order. Go ahead and get your protection oils. Have those things on deck, right? Because complications may come up. When it comes to tech, the main way that this is going to cause complications during a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius in Scorpio season is around anything related to the internet. So your social media, the emails you send, any kind of platforms you manage, especially if you are in business for yourself or you work in tech, you work in IT, you work in with a corporation or a company that uses a lot of technology, right? So make sure that your migration systems are tidied up and intact before the retrograde, and just be very, very cautious during, okay? Um, so that's my wisdom, that's my advice for Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. I hope that this conversation was helpful to people. Now I am happy to take readings for anybody, from anybody who wants one. I have the Path to Wisdom reading, which is going to give you wisdom about Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. And then I have the Rooted in Worth reading, which is about the Taurus full moon. So go ahead, if you want a reading, take a moment to consider which one you want. If you want both, that's fine too. Just put both in the comments section, or put, moon, or put moon, or what's the other one? Mercury, in the comments, so I know which one you want. All right, Nicole, go ahead and send your love offering. And once your love offering is sent, I'll start with you. Since you're saying yes, financial, I'm going to assume that you want the full moon in Taurus reading. La Balin, you want both. Awesome, awesome. Go ahead and send your love offerings. I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, Nicole, and do your Taurus full moon reading. And then La Balin, you'll be next, and I'll do both for you. So we'll do Nicole, we'll do La Balin, and then we'll do Adelaida, okay? So let me pull up the reading. I have so many notes. I gotta clean my notes section out. I'd be confusing myself. So for the full moon reading, the Rooted in Worth reading, card 1 looks at what is blooming. So what has reached its fullness and needs to be acknowledged, right? We already talked about how Tauruses, earth signs in general, have a hard time letting things go. I got you, Adelaida. I'm going to get to you after La Balin. We already talked about what needs to be, what needs to be released and let go. And then the second card looks at what must be released in order to stay grounded. Third card is going to look at what new value is ready to take root. All right, so I'm going to start with you, Nicole. I'm going to use my trusty, dusty Afro anime. I may use Game of Thrones at some point. She's been feeling neglected lately. I don't use her nearly enough anymore. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me. What wisdom does Nicole need around the Taurus full moon? What is this new moon on its full moon? What is this full moon going to highlight for her as it relates to her value and what she values? What does she need to release in order to make way for the new? What will become rooted at the end after the full moon is over? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. World card fell out in the shuffle. What is blooming in terms of what has reached fullness or needs to be acknowledged? We have the Page of Swords. So this is talking about you needing to step out of feeling like a student. Step out of feeling like you don't have mastery or control over your tongue, right? You are far more articulate and wise and just capable than you allow yourself to fully feel. And so that's the thing, believing in your knowledge and your value and the fact that your words have such impact over people, right? One of the downsides of Page of Swords, with them being a card of the teacher's pet, is that they can become hyper dependent on the affirmation of other people, especially people that they deem as an authority, in order for them to truly see themselves as intelligent and as capable. And a huge part of their lesson is to really embrace the fact that they are capable without needing accolades from other people. We see that, and this is how you know that spirit is in alignment. Look at this. I keep saying that. She said, we just talked about this. You saw me shuffle. I didn't do nothing tricky. So your ancestors are driving it home because they really, really want you to know this, right? In terms of what needs to be released to stay grounded, you don't have to fight with everybody. You don't, right? Five of Wands is the card of the bully. And I don't even experience you as a deeply quarrelsome person, but this is more about learning to choose your battles, right? People will project things onto you to get a rise out of you or to get focus off of them. And figuring out when it's worth it to check people and when it's not even worth it to engage the bully is going to be really, really important for you, right? And that's why this is coming up in terms of an issue that needs to be released in order for you to stay grounded. Your spirits don't want you to waste time arguing with fools, right? Because it brings you out of your true nature. It brings you out of your alignment. It ends up not being worth it. And then the bullies or the insecure people end up gaining a whole bunch of shit. And then you're sitting there drained because it's vampiric. It's energy vampire stuff, right? So what they want you to really release is a need to fight everybody who tries you. And I know that's hard. I'm saying this as somebody who is a Leo rising. If you try me, I want to argue. I want to, but a lot of times it ends up not serving me because, you know, when the moon barks back at the dog, everybody is like, what the fuck is that, right? And it's a similar thing with you. Every fight is not worth having. Even if you feel triggered, even if you know the person is trying you. I think we look at people who walk away from fights as being weak. That's not true. It takes a lot of strength to not waste time and energy arguing with idiot people. And so that's something that your spirits really want you to release, is the need to feel like you have to fight with everybody that wants to fight you. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. In a position of what new value is ready to take root, we have the Page of Cups. So this is something else we talked about, right? This is a time where you really need to learn and engage in your lessons around your psychic and intuitive capabilities, right? Really learning to trust what you see. Even if it may not make sense to other people, your spirits give you downloads, wisdom, and information because it's the downloads, wisdom, and information that you need. So really learning how to trust your intuitive insights is something that is, it's really, the full moon is going to help you take root in that instead of avoiding it or feeling inauthentic in it, okay? And then we have the World card, which is just an extra little message. This is something that's come up in the interpretation of the World card for me recently. And as I'm looking at the candle, Spirit wants me to say this to you. The world is on fire right now. Well, I'm not going to cry. The world is on fire right now. And things feel deeply chaotic for a lot of people. And it may even feel deeply chaotic for a lot of the people that you love. But things are really delicious and precious and sweet for you. Don't feel like you have to sacrifice celebration about how hard you've gotten to, I'm not going to cry, about how hard you've gotten to how hard you fought to get where you are. Still let yourself have celebration about this new chapter. And yeah, it may be hard to see people that you love or even people that you can't stand struggle. That doesn't mean that you don't get to celebrate, okay? That's what your spirits really want you to know right now. That fell out. It had nothing to do with the reading, but it fell out just because your ancestors really, really want you to understand that right now in this moment in time. Oh, I hate being clairsentient. Being clairsentient is frustrating as fuck. Why everything make me want to cry? I hate being sensitive like that. Going back to that Five of Wands energy, that's why people be trying me, because I'm a fucking crybaby. I'm clairsentient. Everything brings emotions in me. I be on the verge of crying over shit that ain't even got nothing to do with me. So people think that that's weakness. I don't know why people think vulnerability is weakness. A Taurus will beat your ass while they're crying. I've done that before. I've a much younger version of me, not Mambo in her 40s, but a version of me when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I was known to beat a bitch ass while weeping. I was known to stomp somebody out and be like, look what you made me do! Oh, ah! Growth. Progress. All right, La Balin. I got you. We're going to start with your full moon reading, La Balin, and then I will go over and do, and then I will do your Mercury and Sagittarius reading, okay? My dad is a Taurus, and he can be hell on wheels. Yeah, because here's the thing. We're so grounded, and we're so rooted, and we're so dedicated to being calm, and we give so many chances because we don't want to turn into that bull in a China shop fucking up things, wrecking, causing wreck, right? So that by the time you push us to the point of rage where we go off, it's catastrophic. It's catastrophic. And it don't necessarily feel good. I'm not a person that when I go off, I feel better after. If anything, I feel worse. So, all right. So, La Balin, we're going to do your full moon and Taurus reading. Yes, sisters, angels, ascended masters, spirits, elevated ancestors. What does La Balin need to know about the full moon in Taurus? What is the wisdom, guidance, and breakthrough coming to her as a result of this full moon? What will she release? What will she embrace? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay, so I remember I'm a Leo rising. I am a Leo rising. Yeah, your triplets are Taurus, and they act like little Tauruses. It's the cutest shit. That like little Taurus babies, funny. They are funny. They are too cute. Remember that I am a Leo rising, and I don't remember where I learned this. I think it was in an astrology class, but I remember learning that after you hit your Saturn return, a part of your life's journey or lesson is to become and to embody your rising sign. So much of my journey is about showing up in the world as a Leo, even though I'm a Taurus, if that makes sense. All right. Let me just scroll back up and highlight La Balin's comment so that I don't forget I'm reading for her, because y'all know my memory is trash. I haven't had weed in almost 3 months, and my memory is still garbage. So bear with me. For you, La Balin, in terms of what is blooming, in terms of what has reached its fullness, is there's a sharpness and a precision to you, right? Remember that I'm always saying that the Knight of Pentacles is the sniper. And that's why I think it's funny that he's the least liked because people think when they think of knights, they think of big energy, they think of loudness, they think of like showy kind of bullshit, right? But in order to be a sniper, you got to be silent. People can't really see you and your hard work and the precision you put into things, right? And I think that's a balance that you've really, really started to embrace. And that's something that's becoming easier for you, right? Being comfortable with working in silence, being comfortable with refinement, being comfortable with taking time to cross the T's and dot the I's. And not just being comfortable with doing that, but being comfortable with the fact that most people may not see you. They may not see your hard work. And that's cool, because not only is it not their business, it actually makes it easier for you to get shit done, right? Knight of Pentacles is a dope ass energy. I love this for you in terms of what's blooming. You're getting really, really comfortable with not just being refined and deliberate in how you work and how you move, but you don't give a fuck if people see or acknowledge it as long as you get your result, right? That's a really dope energy to have. In terms of what must be released to stay grounded, you're not going to believe this, but you have a lot of the same thing going on that Nicole does, right? Not getting distracted by petty ass arguments. not getting distracted by having to prove yourself to people that may project things onto you. That's something that you are very much learning at this time, right? You don't, again, going back to this Knight of Pentacles energy, the refinement, the production, the precision, the hitting of your goals, you don't even, because you're so in that bag right now, you don't even want to get distracted by other people's bullshit. You don't want to waste time over explaining yourself to people or fighting for them to understand or to see you, right? Because part of what this full moon gives you is it brings you closer to the understanding that all that is feeding other people's energy. And you don't have time to feed the trolls. You don't have time to feed the insecure right now. In a position of what value is ready to take root, you're going to stop staying in things for too long. I think the more you understand your value and the more you reevaluate your relationship to your value, the easier it's going to be for you to walk away from things that don't serve you. There are some attachments that you still have due to nostalgia. And low-key, the energy that keeps us stuck in things in that Eight of Cups energy when it's in reversal, it has a lot to do with guilt. There's some things you don't want to let go of because of guilt. And I think that the more you embrace yourself and get rooted in yourself, the easier it's going to be for you to understand, like, hey, this isn't worthy of me. I'm in a space, I'm connected to things that don't value me. And instead of feeling like it's your responsibility to fight to be seen properly, you're going to be like, okay, well, I tried and I did my best, but I'm going to walk away because there are other things that are out there. Let me spend this time getting closer to the thing that is in alignment with me in terms of value instead of wasting time fighting, right? Punching in the dark, okay? Absolutely, Shwazy. I can do your reading after Adelaida. So just go ahead and send your offering in, and then I'll get to you after Adelaida, all right? So let's do your Mercury and Sagittarius reading. This is the Path of Wisdom reading. First card looks at the message that you carry. Second card looks at the filter of your mind. Third one looks at what in the world awaits you post the retrograde, okay? I got you, Tiffany. I'll do you after Shwazy. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors, what wisdom does La Balin need about Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius? What breakthroughs will this bring her? How will this help her get closer into her alignment? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. I may switch decks after you, La Balin. How many Vodou people are here on the live tonight? Because I want to say something about Freda and how she shows up and how it's really interesting. It's random. It has nothing to do with this reading, but I just want to share it. So in terms of the message that you carry, La Balin, and this is about what truth or wisdom you're ready to move through during this particular retrograde, we have the Four of Wands. So stability is at the forefront of your mind. Not just stability, but wealth and progress and the celebration of it. You've made a lot of progress this year, and I don't think that you've really stopped to reflect over that. So the gift that comes to you during this retrograde and the message that you carry, your spirits are really, really going to highlight a lot for you about how far you've come and how accomplished you are, right? It's really going to make you understand what you have in terms of being rooted and grounded. This is a time for homecoming for you, where you really get to celebrate your progress, even though you really haven't been keeping track of it. This retrograde gives you the opportunity to really reflect and refine and look at how far you've come. In terms of the filter of your mind, which is looking at how you can communicate your message more clearly and with integrity, we have the Six of Pentacles. This is interesting. You are going to have to start being a little bit more charitable with your gifts, right? And here's the thing, and I always highlight this part about the Six of Pentacles because I think that people forget it. Part of the reason why this merchant is so generous with other people is because the spirits have blessed him immensely, right? That's why he's able to stand there in his finery, all dolled up, looking fucking amazing, because the spirits have gifted him beautifully. And so in his charity, he keeps the flow of abundance in his life. That's why he is so charitable, right? You've made a lot of progress. As you take inventory of that progress, Spirit is going to give you some wisdom about ways that you can be charitable and pour into other people. And here's the thing, the charity that he gives isn't going to make him broke. So whatever this charity is, whatever this offering that is that you give to the community, it's not going to be something that drains you. It's not going to be something that steals your energy and your time. Hey, Sierra, good to see you. Lavonna, did I already say hi to you? If I didn't, I'm so sorry. But it's going to increase the flow of abundance in your life. So this is going to be really interesting. This offering is going to be how you communicate with other people. And what I mean by that is that whatever the offering is, it's going to make people feel not attached to you. Spirit, give me the words. It's going to be rooted in your authenticity, and it's going to make people understand and see you much more clearly, okay? Now, in the position of the world awaits, which talks about where will your message make the greatest impact, we have the Queen of Cups. I love this combination for you. I love this. Because again, you're giving in a way that's authentic. It's going to keep the flow of resources and abundance in your life, but it's not going to drain you. And that is the main lesson that a Queen of Cups is learning. How do I give from my overflow as opposed to giving from my drops, right? So a huge part of what you are learning and what becomes your message that you take away after this retrograde is over is learning what does it look like to pour into yourself first, to take care of yourself while taking care of other people, making sure that you're in alignment with your heart, also being in attunement with your creativity. This retrograde is going to give you a lot of insight. And actually, again, because it's about revisiting, it's going to bring you back to some creative and intuitive projects, ideas, that you, not Lord, other things that you may have neglected, and it's going to bring you back to it. It's really going to awaken your passion. And it's also going to make it clear how not only do these things feed and nurture you, but they can also turn into overflow that feed and nurture other people. Absolutely, Sierra, go ahead and send in your offering, and I'll take care of you. I know that Adelaida is next. After I'm done with Adelaida, I'm going to go through the list and remember, because I know a couple of you guys have submitted since then, and I don't remember the order. So, but yes, Sierra, go ahead and send in your offering. Yes, Shwazy, go ahead and send in your offering. Okay, so my baby Bertal just said that Frida has been talkative. She has been really, really talkative. But what I was going to say is that one of the things, because I've only been actively, no, I'm not, y'all need to know all that. That's none of y'all business. But when Freda wants you to sit your black ass down, she's going to make you sit your black ass down. And I have a tendency towards overwork, Virgo moon. And even though I was dog tired, like y'all ever been so tired that y'all wake up and cry because you don't want to do everything you have to do? I'm embarrassed to admit that I woke up in tears this morning because I was like, fuck, I got so much shit to do. Freda made every client I had today on my calendar rescheduled. I shit you not. She made everybody. And the way it happened was such a trip. I didn't plan for it. I didn't reach out to nobody. It was just like one by one. Mambo, I got this going on. Can I talk to you on Friday? Mambo, something came up. What's your availability to next week? And it happened all day long. And so when I tell you that in between texting people and answering emails, I napped deliciously today. Like, she will literally clear your schedule if she knows you're hard-headed. That's crazy. Okay. I just needed to share that because the Loa are fascinating. I tell you, it's so fascinating. All right, Adelaida, I don't remember which reading you chose. Adelaida, I see you're here. Can you let me know which actually, just let me go look at the damn Cash App. What am I doing? Adelaida, I don't know which reading you chose, but I'm going to do you next, baby, okay? Just give me 1 second to look and see which one you requested. And I got you next. And then after Adelaida, I believe is Shwazy. And then Sanidra, then Tiffany, then Sierra. Adelaida wanted Rooted in Worth. Okay, baby, I got you. Sorry, my baby sister is texting me. I got distracted. Being the older sister is so much like being a mother, I swear to God. This is how I ended up not having no kids. I felt like I had 8 fucking children before I even became an adult. Okay, so Rooted in Worth for Adelaida. Okay, let me go ahead and highlight you. You're good. You're good, Sanidra. Just see, Frida made you miss it. It's okay. It had to happen that way. It needed to happen that way. And you got my number. We'll just reschedule once I get off of the live tonight. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits, elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Adelaida need about the Taurus full moon? What revelations will this full moon bring to her? What will it tell her about her worth? How will it inform how she moves forward after the full moon is over? And it was shared as deeply appreciated. Nicole, you wanted to ask a clarification question. You are more than welcome to. If it's okay with you, I would like to save you until the end to do your clarification once I've gotten to everybody else. But yes, you are more than welcome to ask a clarification question. I'm glad I got some rest too. And once I'm off of here, I'm gonna finish this glass of Prosecco. And guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna crawl right up under. Y'all, I found a heated weighted blanket. And I bought it during the summer because it was cheap. Taurus. we like luxury, but we cheap as fuck. So I bought it in the summer on purpose because it was like 70% off or something. And it's finally gotten cold enough for me to use it. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to use my heated weighted blanket tonight. I'm going to get some good sleep. Okay. So for you, Adelaida, in terms of what is blooming, what has reached its fullness and needs to be acknowledged, we have the King of Pentacles. You know way more about the legacy you want to leave for yourself and the wealth you want to leave behind. And this full moon is going to bring you a lot of revelation about what that looks like for you. It's going to be really easy for you to make a lot of precise movement moving forward, right? Even some of the struggles you feel like you may have felt over the last few years, you're going to have insight into how that sets you up for the legacy that you want for yourself, right? And you can see on the horizon, like the pleasure, the luxury that King of Pentacles tends to have and that you're going to have in the immediate future. So this is something that's really, really blooming for you right now. Because that's the thing about King of Pentacles. they were not born into their wealth. They had to work hard. They had to have sacrifices. They had to hit bumps in the road. And even those things, they understand how it gets them there, right? That's why I love that in the Game of Thrones deck, King of Pentacles is Lord Baelish. We can hate Baelish all we want to. He's a deplorable fucking character. But one thing you cannot say about that man is that he didn't get it out the mud, right? And so this energy around the full moon is really going to help you embrace looking at the ways that you've gotten it out the mud and really seeing how that brings you to wealth and early retirement, okay? In terms of what must be released to stay grounded, let me go back to the King of Pentacles because Spirit wants me to go back to it. Another thing about the King of Pentacles is that he understands that his luxury is work. What do I mean by that? King of Pentacles is going to take the vacation. King of Pentacles is going to go have the spa day. And it's not just because they're a pleasure-seeking Taurus. It's because they understand these things rejuvenate me, and energetically, they keep wealth in my life. So if there's a way that you've been overly self-sacrificial around your finances or taking care of yourself, this full moon is going to highlight that for you, okay? What needs to be released to stay grounded? You got to let go of your fears. There are fears you have that are acting like a monkey on your back. There are things about the past that you hyper worry about and fixate on. And again, with everything that's coming to you in the immediate future, Spirit doesn't need you to literally exhaust yourself through the loss of sleep, through the obsession, through the hyperfixation by thinking about those things and letting them worry you, letting them keep you up at night, okay? In terms of what new value is ready to take root, we have the Eight of Cups. You are another one that stays in situations too long. You can be loyal to a fault, right? And I'm trying to talk delicately because we've talked a lot and I don't want to put too much of your business out there, but even some of the things that you obsess over, I got tarot decks all around me and they're falling off. It's obnoxious, but that one will stay there for right now. Even some of the things you obsess over and that have caused you heartbreak, it's because you stayed in those situations way too fucking long. And you were loyal to the wrong things. And you were self-sacrificing in ways that didn't serve you. And that's why the heartbreak is there. So a huge part of what this full moon is going to bring you is that it's going to teach you that sometimes you got to walk away from things, not because they're broken, not because you're broken, but because if your value is not being met, it's not worth it at the end of the day. This is something that really is going to take root in you. So rather than feeling like you have to show your loyalty through being sacrificial to things that don't serve you, rooting and prioritizing your value, evaluating situations and being like, I'm not being valued. Let me go ahead and get to what does value me. That's something that is going to be a lot easier for you after this full moon, okay? All right. Tiffany, no, so let me go through the list because I'm going to confuse myself. Sorry. Hold on a second. So Sierra wants both. So I have to jump back and forth because some of you guys haven't gotten used to my new Cash App yet. And so let me do Sinidra, then Tiffany, then Sierra. Okay? And then after that, I felt like there was someone else. If I'm missing somebody in those three names, let me know. But what I see here is Tiffany, yeah, so the Cash App scrolling below is new. I missed you, Swayze? Okay. So let me do Tiffany, Swayze, Sinidra, and then Sierra. And then Nicole, I can answer your follow-up question, okay? Tiffany, let me do you next. Tiffany, you got both. So I'm just going to scroll up and I'm going to highlight you so I don't forget who I'm reading for. You can still use the old one. I can still access the old one, Shwazy. I just have two now. I have a business one now because for tax purposes, I'm trying to separate things. But don't worry, if you sent it to the old one, that's completely okay. There's no worries there, okay? It's all right. It's all right. I've only had it for a couple of weeks, so people are still getting used to it. So we're going to start with your full moon reading, okay, Tiffany? And then we'll do your Mercury and Sagittarius. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me. What wisdom does the full moon have in store for Tiffany? What will she release? What will she embrace? How will she change? What shifts will happen in her after the full moon is over? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. No worries. I think in a couple of weeks you guys will be used to the new one. But for right now, it's not that big of a deal for me to switch back and forth. It just confuses me a little bit when I'm trying to keep order of y'all. But it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Disregard my question. I figured it out. Are you sure, Nicole? So for you, what is blossoming in terms of what has reached fullness or needs to be acknowledged? We have the Ace of Swords. You're learning to trust your intuition a lot more, right? Your intuition is also just sharpening. So you're not only are you receiving new downloads, not only are you better able to recognize your downloads instead of just dismissing them as like paranoid thoughts or weird observations, you're deeply learning to trust them. And as these downloads increase, they're going to give you a lot more information that helps you be much more in aligned with your Ori, okay? In the position of what must be released to stay grounded, this is interesting. We have the Justice card. Now, this may sound weird that this is what needs to be released, but it's real. You need to release the understanding that it's your job and your responsibility to bring balance to everyone else and focus on cultivating balance within you. Okay? That is actually the struggle of Libra. The struggle of Libra is that they can get so wrapped up in everybody else's shit and weighing all the options and understanding where everyone else is coming from, that they end up losing their own insight and losing their own voice at the end of the day, right? When in actuality, what makes you a real judge, what makes a person a real good evaluator of situations is that they are rooted in a truth that's rooted in themselves. So a huge part of what you're releasing through this full moon is this understanding that you have to prioritize everybody's perspective to the detriment of your own. Releasing that allows you to be much more comfortable with balance within yourself, which makes a lot of sense with this increase in trusting your own insights and downloads. Because that's the thing about Libra. A lot of times their first thought is the right thought. But because they're trying to evaluate and see all sides, they will talk themselves out of doing the right thing or doing the thing that's going to bring them safety and comfort. So again, Justice card, Libra energy, that's the shift that's happening for you. In terms of the new value that is ready to take root, I love this for you, Wheel of Fortune. You're ready for a lot of the positive change that's coming into your life. And as we wrap up this year and go into the first couple of months, the first quarter of 2026, a lot of blessings are coming to you. And these are blessings that, again, with this Ace of Swords and this Justice card, you're finally ready for, right? There's a phrase I've been using a lot, and it's a biblical phrase, and I've just been reminding myself of it for personal reasons. Delay is not denial. Delay is not denial, right? And I think you're going to have a lot of experience that clarifies that for you. There are some things that your spirits were delaying because as you were in this space of not trusting yourself, and as you were in this space of sacrificing your own perspective for everybody else's perspective, you low-key weren't ready. But now that you're ready, the wheel is turning, and a lot of blessings are about to fall into your lap. Okay? Let's look at your Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius reading. Ancestors, angels, the sea master spirits who walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Tiffany need about the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius? What is her path to wisdom during this time? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. That's the truth about Libra. Absolutely, it is. I don't know a single Libra in my life, male or female, that doesn't struggle with that. I do not envy Libras at all. I do not envy that way of moving. It's a beautiful thing in theory, but it brings y'all a lot of drama. And I watch y'all have to go through it, child. I have two little brothers that are Libras. God bless their heart. In terms of the message you carry, the truth or the wisdom that you're ready to move through, you're getting comfortable with your tower moments. And that may sound like a scary thing, but it's actually a powerful place to be. When you are in a position where you trust spirit and you're like, okay, whatever you took away from me, whatever you blowing up right now, I just believe you. I know that I trust that you pulling some shit out of my hands because, hold on 1 second. This is Bay. Hello? Hi, I'm on my live stream right now. Can I call you back in like 30? Can I call you back in 30 minutes? I'm on live right now. I'm doing work. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to text you when I get off. All right. Sorry about that. But yeah, you're getting really, really comfortable with understanding that chaos, even when it's uncomfortable, it's something that's clearing a space for you, right? So this is something that you're learning to embrace rather than, so in the typical representations or the traditional representations of a tower, we see that people are falling out the sides of a building, right? And that's because they're panicking. They don't know what to do with the tower falling apart. But you, very much like this person in the center, you're just like, you're calm, you're evaluating, you're like, okay, well, what is spirit taking away? What's crumbling? Let me evaluate so that I know how to rebuild, right? In terms of the filter of your mind, which tells you about how you can communicate your messages more clearly that show up with integrity and authenticity, we have the World card. You're learning to embrace joy. You're learning to cultivate joy. You're learning to celebrate the transitions in your life and the new chapters that you're stepping into, right? Understanding the amount of hard work that has brought you to a place where you can even celebrate. So that's really good. I love that for you. In the position of the world awaits, which talks about where will your message make the greatest impact, it's going to pull you out of indecision. It's going to make you comfortable with making tough decisions so that instead of having to sit in stagnation and discomfort, you are like, okay, I'm strong enough to choose something. I'm not going to hide from big choices. I'm not going to run away from difficult decisions. You're going to face them head on instead of blinding yourself and avoiding, okay? So those are your two readings, Tiffany. Let me know if those resonated with you or not. Next, we'll do Sanidra, then Swayze, then Sierra, okay? And if there's anyone else, let me know. If I forgot you or you want to be included, just go ahead and put a comment so that way I don't accidentally skip anybody. Sanidra, what was her last comment? So that I can highlight it. I'm going to highlight this one just because it's funny. I'm nosy. I want to know. I don't even know what you're talking about. But as a fellow nosy person, I think that's funny. You're welcome, Tiffany. Yes, that's what angels. We're going to start with your Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, Sanidra. Angels, master spirits with me, ancestors. What does Sanidra need to know about this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius? What wisdom lies on the other side of this retrograde for her? What are the areas of life that she will revisit and refine and maybe even release during this retrograde? And it was shared is deeply appreciated. Knight of Cups fell out while I was shuffling. I'm going to do your spread first and see how this card informs the rest of the spread. In the position of the message you carry, the truth or wisdom that you're ready to move through, you're going to get really serious about your spiritual discipline and your regimen. Not just refining it, but evaluating it and see what works and what doesn't work in your life, right? Hierophant literally is the card of spiritual regimen and discipline. But you're also going to get really serious about the information that you are keeping a hold of. If you don't already have a grimoire, this would be a really great time to start one. This is also a really good time to go through and evaluate the notes that you've accumulated over the last year, but the refinement of your spiritual discipline is something that is really going to be at the forefront of your mind during those 3 weeks. And it's going to help you understand a lot of wisdom that you've already accumulated that you might not understand you already know, right? In the position of the filter of your mind, how can you communicate your message clearly and with integrity? We have the Magician. So the Magician is one of the major arcana cards. Oh my God, this mascara is doing stuff to me. It's one of the major arcana cards that represent alchemy, right? And the alchemy of the Magician is different than like Temperance. It's different than High Priestess. It's very much about the personal alchemy of self-belief. You have more information and wisdom than you understand you do, especially around your spirituality. And so really believing in yourself in terms of believing that you have the tools to make shit shake, but also studying on your own, right? Because that's one of the things I always highlight that about the Magician. They do a lot of work and a lot of study outside of the eyes of other people in order to be able to do the shit that they're able to do, right? So study and self-reflection is going to be at the forefront for you. In the position of, why the fuck is he bothering me? Sorry, I shouldn't talk about him that way. I just told him I'm on live. In the position of the world awaits, where will your message make the greatest impact? I love this for you. We have the Page of Pentacles. Really embracing what it means to be an apprentice, right? You are about to get into some mischief as it relates to conjure under this retrograde, and I'm excited to see it, right? The apprentice energy of the Ace of Pentacles is somebody who's learning how to take their wisdom and operationalize it. They're learning what it means to be a thing, right? They're learning how to be the person that manifests and accumulates what they want. This whole spread between the Hierophant, the Magician, and the Page of Pentacles, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is really going to help you get comfortable with being somebody who does your own conjure. And you're in this apprentice phase of learning how to do things instead of waiting for other people to do it for you. Not Bertal saying, oh, Lord. Lord God. Bertal is being a hater. And this actually makes a lot of sense with the Knight of Cups falling out. The Knight of Cups is the card of the creative, right? They're the artist. They're somebody who is capable of manifesting. So I think that for you, this is going to happen in the realm of self-love work. I think you're going to learn a lot of really I think you're going to learn a lot of really important lessons in regards to conjure and around your journey with self-love work. So I'm excited to see that unfold for you. Now let's do your full moon reading. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, non-Vedic ancestors. What wisdom does Sinidra get at this time about the full moon in Taurus? What will be revealed? What will be released? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. And that's why I'll be calling her too. Okay. So in the night of, it's funny because we just talked about you being comfortable with doing magic, right? And then the full moon in Taurus is like, okay, but don't be rushing into shit. Don't be being bullheaded. Don't, because that's the thing about the Knight of Swords. They're really smart. They have a lot of knowledge, but they can be so focused on a goal and so married to what something should look like that they'll bulldoze over all the red flags, right? So even though you're going to be in the space of getting comfortable with conjure, don't rush into shit. Slow down. Pay attention. Go over your notes. Refine your lessons. Ask questions, not just of your sister, but I'm here too, right? You don't want to be so hasty that you end up causing collateral damage. And the full moon in Taurus really, really wants you to, as opposed to rushing into things, slow down and take account, right? Because that's something that Knight of Swords energy really needs to work on. In terms of what must be released to stay grounded, I know you don't want to hear this, baby, but there's a move that you need to make, a physical move. And this has been coming up in your readings for a while now. So I think you're going to move during the full moon? No. But I think the full moon is going to give you concrete wisdom around where this next place is that you're supposed to go and how this next place falls into the bigger scope of what your life path is, what your career path is, right? So again, pay attention to the downloads, pay attention to the signs. Don't rush and run away from what Spirit is telling you, right? Pay attention to what they're bringing up for you around this move. In the position of what value is ready to take root, we have the World card. So there's some joy and some ease that's about to come into your life. Again, we know that you're going to be doing your self-love work. And it's so much easier to celebrate and be in the energy of attraction when we're on top of our self-love work. I think a lot is going to come up for you in terms of understanding how far you've come, not just this year, but in recent years. You're moving into a new chapter energetically, and it's just going to be a lot easier for you to celebrate that energy, okay? That's what I'm seeing for you with this full moon in Taurus, all right? I'm excited for it too. All right, Shwazy is next, and then we will wrap up with Sierra unless there is someone else, okay? Okay, So I'm just going to highlight this comment so that I remember I'm reading for Shwazy. Let me just double check and make sure no one else is sent. If anyone else is interested in a reading and has already sent in their love offering, just put a comment below so that I don't overlook you. But I think I got to everybody. I hope I got to everybody. Let me make sure. Yeah. As of right now, Shwazy and Sierra are the last two. If there's anyone else that is in desire of getting a reading, just go ahead and send your love offering and make a comment below, okay? So Shwazy, we're going to start with the full moon reading for you, and then we'll do your Mercury and Sagittarius, all right? Ancestors, what wisdom does Shwazy need at this time about the Taurus full moon? What wisdom does this full moon have to offer her? What will she be able to release? What will it clear space for? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. While I'm pulling for Shwazy, I forgot to do announcements earlier. So I just want to remind people that Rich Beard Body Wash is available. It's still on pre-sale or pre-order right now for $45. That's the introductory price. And it's at the introductory price of $45 with shipping until November 2nd. So you guys have about 3 more days to get it at the intro price. It'll still be available after November 2nd, but the price goes up to $60 after that. It's also the last 3 days of my spooky season sale. So if any of you guys have wanted to get a long form reading with me, like whether it's a general reading, a shadow work consultation, feel free to book using this code SPOOKY, SPOOK, in order to do so. I just posted the 2026 forecast readings today. So from today until February 1st, 2026 forecast readings are available. And as always, they're available in 2 formats. The first format is a full forecast that comes with a natal chart reading. So it's an overall natal chart analysis, as well as highlighting of important dates in 2026 that you need to be aware of based on your astrology. And then 4 tarot spreads that break down the year for you. If you don't want the astrological shit and you just want the tarot spreads, then you get the mini, okay? So just want to highlight those things because all of that is, well, except for the forecast readings, but the pre-sale of the body wash and the spooky season sale both end on Sunday. So I just want to let people know since it's time sensitive. Now, Shwazy, what is blossoming? What has reached its fullness and needs to be acknowledged? You are very much in an energetic shift. The wheel is turning for you. So if things have been difficult over these last few months, particularly these last 9 months, you're about to get some clarity. You're about to get some healing. Things are about to become much more smooth for you. You're about to be presented with a lot of faded opportunities based on some of the things you've prayed for and some of the seeds you've sown over these last 9 or so months. In terms of what must be released to stay grounded, it's not that you release Queen of Pentacles energy, it's that you need to learn to embrace Queen of Pentacles energy, right? Queen of Pentacles understands work-life balance, right? She understands that very much like her husband, the King of Pentacles, she understands that being tapped into her sensuality, being tapped into joy, treating herself good, eating the best foods, those are all the things that not only nurture her and make her feel good, it attracts energetic favor, right? People want to be around a bad bitch. People want to be around a woman that's drinking caviar, drinking champagne and eating caviar, right? They want to be around a girl that's going to the Pilates classes because they want to tag along with her. So the better you treat you, the more favor that brings into your life. And that's something that you really, really come to embrace and understand, okay? As opposed to, so you release the energy of feeling like in order to be successful, I just got to be all struggle, all work, no play, make Shwazy a dull girl, right? So that's what you're releasing. In terms of what value is ready to take root, the Hierophant. So again, being really spiritually disciplined. Respectfully, baby, you're not spiritually disciplined. I don't know any other way to say it. You go through phases where you're really on top of it, you're really into it, and then when life has something come up for you or something doesn't go your way, you fall out of habit and out of practice, right? But the thing that the Hierophant understands, and the reason why they are literally the embodiment of faith, is because they understand that the discipline is something you have to be rooted in, whether things are going your way or not. That's what faith is. Faith is believing even when you don't see shit, right? Again, delay is not denial. So I think that a huge part of what this full moon gives you is that it helps you to understand that your spiritual discipline is a necessity, regardless of whether you're getting your way or whether it's easy. It's not about that. It's about having it regardless, right? My lack of discipline is no secret. I didn't know that about you, so so I'm glad that resonated, that it felt familiar in terms of the energy coming up in the cards. Now let's look at your Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius reading. Let's see what this wisdom has for you. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits will walk with me. What is Shwezi's path to wisdom? What does Mercury's retrograde in Sagittarius have to teach her? What will allow her to revisit and to release, to refine in those 21 days? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Knight of Swords keeps coming up for quite a few of y'all tonight. That's interesting. So the message you carry, the truth or the wisdom that is ready for you to move through during this Mercury in Sagittarius. It's funny because we just talked about the Hierophant. So you can be a little hasty. You can be a little impatient. And you're going to have experiences throughout these 21 days that get you to understand how sometimes being hasty actually takes you further away from your goal, or causes you to, create collateral damage on the path to getting to a goal. And hopefully in realizing that, it allows you to pull back and to observe when you engage in that behavior and really think about what it costs you in the long run. Because here's the thing, the Knight of Swords, often they hit their goal, but they will do it in sacrifice of friendship, sacrifice of their image, sacrifice of reputation. It's swords, so sometimes they can say reckless and harmful shit, right? And so, yeah, if you hit a goal, that's great, but if you sacrifice your relationships in the context, like, is it even worth it? In the position of how can you communicate your message more clearly and with integrity? King of Swords. King of Swords don't talk that much. And that's why I think he's the sexiest of the kings. I love a man don't run their mouth. King of Swords does not talk very much. They're very deliberate. They're very methodical. They're very precise, right? They also, so in typical representations or traditional representations, his throne is literally on a cloud. And that's to represent the fact that everybody don't have access to them, right? So not only do you need to get comfortable with, I'm not saying that you talk too much. I'm saying that everybody don't need to know your moves or your business. And getting comfortable with being a lot more strategic is something that this retrograde is really going to drive home for you, okay? Because that's what's going to allow you to have your kingdom. That's what's going to put you in that leadership position. That's what's going to get you actually closer to your success. The success doesn't come with being hasty. It comes with being deliberate, strategic, and not letting everybody know what it is you're doing. Now, in the position of the world awaits, where your message can make the best impact, we have the Knight of Wands. You got to let yourself have more fun, baby. You are hasty, yes, You are driven and you rush into things in order to hit a goal. Yes. But in terms of being impulsive in the Aries way, where you let yourself live life in the moment, you really got to work on that. You really got to work on that. You got to let yourself have some fun. You got to let yourself, you're younger than what you treat yourself like, if that makes sense. And so Aries energy is coming through to say, like, you need to let yourself have fun. You need to figure out how to live in the moment. You need to, it's also a sexy energy. So what's going on with your sensuality? What's going on with, have you been prioritizing your needs and you know, locking into that? Or has it just been all work, no play? I got to succeed. I got to succeed. I got to succeed. Right. So these are the things that come up for you with the retrograde. Now, did I already do your full moon reading? I don't think I did your full moon reading. Did I? Swayze, did I do your full moon reading? Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into Sierra now and wrap up. Because if I'm not remembering what the fuck I did and said, then that means I got to go ahead and wrap up for the night. Sierra, let me know you're still here with me, baby. I'm going to go ahead and do your full moon reading now. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. Okay. Let me find her last comment so that I can scroll up and remember that I'm talking to her. Because as a pothead in recovery, I remember very little. Okay, there you go. I'm just going to hit your comment that has the scales in it. Okay. I appreciate you, Swayze. Thank you for trusting me. You have to really trust a person to let them read for you on camera, so I appreciate you tremendously. All right, Sierra, I got you. Ancestors, angels, and master spirits who walk with me. What does this full moon in Taurus hold in store for Sierra? What will she be able to release? What will she be able to confront? What is the energy that she will be able to embrace after the full moon is over? And your wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. In the position of what is blooming, what has reached fullness or needs to be acknowledged. Your ancestors have some really big messages for you, specifically about something in your life that you, I don't want to say have been fearful, but really haven't known how to move forward with, and they're ready for you to move forward. So not only are they going to give you the insight that it's time, they're literally going to give you insight about what the action steps are, right? Judgment card is very much like Spirit has a big message for you. And the big message is one that's going to tell you about how to move forward, what the next step is on your life path. So this is a lot of what the revelation of the full moon has in store for you. In the position of what must be released in order to stay grounded, you've been struggling with your faith lately, right? And very similarly to, what card was that? There was another card that came, the Hierophant that came up earlier. You have to really, Star card is a card of hope and faith. And it's hard to have faith when things are not going your way, when you know that you've been doing everything right and you don't understand why you're not receiving the answers of the movement that you feel like you deserve. That's a really hard position to be in. That's a struggle for anybody, no matter how long they've been in their practice, no matter how disciplined they have been. But for you, releasing doubt and really learning to stand in the energy of hope when you have confusion or when you feel like things aren't coming to you quick enough, that's something that you're going to be able to really embrace. So you're learning to release spiritual doubt. There's some spiritual doubt that has come up as a result of what you've experienced as delayed messages, but also just some experiences you've had in certain environments and around certain people. And this full moon is really, really going to help you in terms of being able to release the doubt that you've accumulated. The doubt doesn't even fully belong to you. It's just like almost, I don't want to say a trauma response, but it's a response to some difficulty that you've experienced over the last couple of years. In terms of what new value is ready to take root, now here's an interesting one. Seven of Swords, the Thief card. The interesting thing about the Seven of Swords and how it represents self-sabotage is that, so in the traditional representation, it's like this goofy looking nigga that's running away with all these swords, but he's like sloppy and he's dropping swords and shit. He's in an open field. He's not even hiding what he's doing. You have a tendency to openly let people get over on you. That's your self-sabotage, is that you openly let people get over on you. And the reason why this is a value issue is because instead of seeing people for who they are and clocking it and moving accordingly, it's almost like you feel like, okay, well, if I ignore the bad behavior, maybe they'll value me. Maybe they'll treat me better. No, fuck that. They're weird. They're thieves. So stop sabotaging. Pay attention to what you see. Move with how you see. Somebody having bad character is not a symptom of your lack of value. And the more you let them play in your face and you self-sabotage in that way, the more you lessen your value. Okay? So that's the message that the full moon has to give you. Let's look at Mercury and Sagittarius. If that's how you, baby, it's okay. You're either a Libra or a Cancer. I don't remember which one, but both Libras and Cancers struggle with that a lot. My mama was a Cancer, and I love her down. May she rest in perfect peace. But that was something I used to argue with her about all the time. It's like, you see this person ain't shit. Like, why are you letting them play in your face? Ancestors, angels, and master spirits will walk with me. What does Sierra need to know about Mercury and Sagittarius? What does the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius have to teach her? What will she be revisiting, releasing, and refining during this time? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay, so in the position of the truth or wisdom, so the message you carry, the truth or wisdom that is ready to move through you, you are a light, baby. You just are. And it's okay. It's okay. You're a light. It's okay to take up space. You got to stop hiding. You got to stop playing small. Sun card, Leo. Leos do not play small. Leos do not apologize for how much space they take up. Even if they do apologize, it's not an apology in the way you think. It's sorry that you're upset that I'm taking up this much space. Sorry that you feel like it's not room for the both of us, but I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna take up this space anyway. That's a huge part of how you need to learn to move. You play small. You play small, and this retrograde is going to highlight ways in which you play small, or ways in which you hide, or ways in which you retreat. And so that's going to be uncomfortable for you, especially because you are a Cancer. Thank you for confirming for me. Especially because you are a Cancer, it may feel uncomfortable to have that message reflected to you, but don't cower under it, right? Embrace it. Do the work of learning how to take up space instead of feeling guilty that you don't take up space, right? That's not helpful. In terms of the filter of your mind, how can you communicate your message clearly and with integrity? There are people that you admire that do the things that you know you want to do, and it's okay to learn from them. You're not copying, you're not stealing. The apprentice is somebody who's learning by doing by evaluating a master. That's literally what apprenticeship is. It's watching somebody work and then doing that stuff as well, right? So you got to give yourself permission to do that. You, instead of watching the people that you admire and being like, damn, they take up a lot of space, let me go hide in a corner. No, figure out how they learn to authentically stand in who they are and give yourself permission to start practicing it. In the position of the world awaits, where will your message make the greatest impact? Do you do prosperity work? Ace of Pentacles. There's some sort of lesson around attraction that you have learned or are learning. And you really need to take this time during the retrograde to refine that lesson and turn it into something that you share with community. Not only will it help other people bring in increase and new beginnings, but it's also something that's going to spark a new beginning for you. Okay? So that is your reading. I was on here long as hell tonight. I want to thank all y'all who have been here for the damn near 2 hours I've been here. I usually don't go this long. But I hope that that message was helpful for you, Sierra. Don't cry. Don't cry. It's okay. You a big softie like me. It's hard being clairsentient. It really is. But I hope that that message was helpful to you. I want to thank you all again for joining me tonight. And I hope that the readings that I did for people were helpful. Again, I will be back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. EST to do a happy hour reading. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking about the government shutdown. We're going to be talking about, there's a huge energetic shift and it feels heavy. And my spirits have been really honest with me about things that we need to do as a collective, especially as a collective of Black women, to prepare for these shifts. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that tonight. Not tonight. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I don't have a Halloween costume, but I may wear a tiara or some ears or something. I don't know. But if you are one of the people who are choosing to stay indoors for Halloween like I am, just go ahead and join me tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Take care. Get good rest. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.